Hi everyone, welcome to day 43 of Adorned with Dignity. We are almost done with this sefer. Can you believe it? We are almost at the completion of this sefer, and it's been an amazing journey. And you should know that I have enjoyed this tremendous zechus from Hashem, and I've enjoyed teaching it so much, and I know that I've just done it with all of my heart. Really enjoyed our time together. And today we're talking about overcoming peer pressure. And it says that in the last lesson, we learned how to develop true self-respect. And through this, we will acquire strength to overcome peer pressure. And today, people are not enslaved physically, yet they are chained to the pressures society places on them. Nevertheless, we all have the ability to gradually free ourselves, step by step, from these chains. All it takes is a genuine desire to liberate ourselves from unwanted influences. Indeed, we all have the power to overcome social pressure and to wholeheartedly perform the true will of Hashem. And the Hazon Ish teaches it is not proper to forgo a mitzvah because of fear of what people will think. And this portrays a weak heart and spirit. And I am confident that a person has the power to garner strength to remove from himself fear of people. And how can we accomplish this? So now that's really to sum up our whole generation in a nutshell. Our ancestors are even our, to the point, our, not so much our mothers, but our mothers and our grandmothers and our great-grandmothers for sure, and anyone before that, their persecution was coming more of a physical, right? All of these things, including that of removing the tichel to, put on a sheitel, was kind of coming because there was this physical persecution. But we don't have that in this generation. And if we do, it's so small, the percentage is so small that it's almost non-existent. So who's coming to take, to beat us up, to take our land? Who's coming to do that? No one. And so in our generation, this is more of a spiritual battle that's going on. And again, we allow this by, always wanting, like we said in the last lesson, we're like the wave, we're up and we're down, and we become this culture of wannabes without even knowing what we want to be. Only that we know that we will be whatever society tells us to be, and that's not what the goal is. That's not what the purpose of a Jew is. So we're going to talk about how do we accomplish this. And it says that realizing our goal in life, it says if we come closer to Hashem, we will naturally feel that our main goal in life is to please Him. It will then be easier to overcome the illusionary fear of what people think. And we should constantly ask ourselves, who are we trying to impress, the Shekhinah or our neighbor? And it's true, we go through such lengths to impress our neighbors, our co-workers, even our family members, to the point that we start sending out this narrative because we all know that, perception is reality, and how you brand yourself is really, it somehow determines our success, which truly is not, that's not the amass at all. And if you pull back the curtain on many people's lives who project this, this illusion, they will tell you, either they're fully in debt, or they're having a hard time. But even people that truly have the means, like, they're the Joneses that you're trying to aspire to be like, even they will tell you that having money doesn't mean that you have happiness. And I think, it's just, some people can argue having money makes the misery, that much easier, but that's not true at all. I think, everyone has a tough kid in life, but I think that it's like the old adage saying, the grass is always greener on the other side. But when you get over to the other side, you realize it's just as brown, if not worse off than your lawn. So it's just better to deal with the reality of your situation and what your job is. And you will find that you'll have a true sense of not only self-worth, but true simcha and joy. So it states that Harav Binyamin Rabinovich Shlita notes that the insults from our peers are more painful than the sufferings our ancestors endured at the hands of the Goyim. Why is this so? Because insults that come from an observant people who are lacking the knowledge that a certain deed is honorable and commendable. They therefore ridicule those who are zochet to perform the will of Hashem because they are not on the level to acknowledge the truth. And they also try to persuade the person that according to the Torah, his deed is not admirable. And so this is very true. A lot of times when you're picking up, I want to say that more so, I got to find that more so this is happening in it's like a handful of mitzvot. And tznuis and kisurosh is one of them. Kisurosh even more than tznuis. And the problem is that when you when you present yourself to a community, you and let's say there are people in the community who are not holding up to that standard, or as we know in this day and age, you are the minority in that community that's holding up the standard. What ends up happening is that you become a mirror and you end up reflecting back on that person things that they did not want to confront about themselves. Because remember, we become in a society of external factors in which everyone is leading off by appearance and attributes. And so now, when this is the narrative that you're putting out, that I am going to be in line with the will of Hashem, despite what everyone says, that it's so hard and blah, 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 then it really becomes a mirror, and it becomes very uncomfortable for that person to now see themselves. And when they do see themselves, sometimes what ends up happening is that they have a knee-jerk reaction, and it's usually in the form of an insult. And it says, how can we remain steadfast in the face of such insults? And Harav Rabinowitz encourages us to draw strength by telling ourselves, I'm ready to accept affliction and criticism, yet I will not hide my face in shame from Hashem. And I will not get fazed by other people's insults and their belittling the greatness of my deeds, because I know that the goal of my life is to create nachas and ruach for Hashem. Other than this, everything is futility, since there is nothing but Hashem, right? And so it states, remember, who should feel shame and who should feel pride. So now this is, again, we're in an upside down world. So it's funny because there was a time where not being modest was something to be greatly ashamed of. And it wasn't just a standard held by, the Yidden. It was also held by the Goyim as well. And now in this upside down world, it's almost meant to be that the tznua and the one, not only the tznua, but the one that is wearing kisurosh, moreover, is made to feel like somehow they should be ashamed and that they should be, put down, and they are deserving of the insults that are getting ready to come out of somebody's mouth. So this is really an upside down world we live in. But it says, a woman who knows the truth, that she is covering her hair in the manner that is more desirable to Hashem, can gain strength not to care what others who are weaker in spirit and not in touch with truth say about her. On the contrary, those who are on a lower level in this mitzvah should feel self-conscious in front of her. And again, that's kind of what is happening when you see that insult. Really take it as a good sign, because you know at that moment that you become a mirror, and you've really gyrated something in that other person that they could not have seen otherwise, believe it or not. Sometimes all the shirim, all the musar in the world, sometimes you need to see it played out in front of you, and they end up gyrating, and you'll see the reaction because it comes out in the form of an insult. But it also says that when the Steifer Gaon arrived in Eretz Yisrael, he wanted his young daughters to wear clothes that were covered their knees, and they felt a bit uncomfortable, since in those days the young girls wore short clothing. When the Rebbetzin confided in her brother, the Hazonish, that it was difficult for her, the Rav told her, why does it bother you what people say about you? You know the truth. Your girls are dressing like Jewish daughters, and those who don't dress like them are the ones who are dressing in a different manner. It says thus, what those people say about you shouldn't bother you. And the Hazonish attested, I was alone in my ideas and the laughingstock of all my neighbors, yet my steadfastness gave me strength. I ask all those who are lenient to reevaluate, and maybe they will come to the realization that the Torah cannot be changed. And that is what it's coming down to. I think that there's so many in this generation. I think sometimes we feel that we can make up our own Shulchan Aruch, and that we can change the Torah, has v'shalom, just to fit our needs and our desires. And it's a very serious, and it's these are actions that can lead to serious consequences. But I think what's even more important that we see out of this story, that this isn't something that is just affecting the average, Yankel and Miriam. This is also affecting big rabbinum. This is something that is literally, it has gotten to the point where there is no community that you cannot see this in. Even the most frum communities, you see a lot of this this pushing of the boundaries, and it's really gotten to a point where please Ishem Yachem, because it is really getting to the point where it's I think we have to take a stand. And for me, this series, in the second time doing it, I feel like that this is my chance in my lifetime to essentially do what a lot of people will not do. And a lot of people will, they will kind of shy away from the situation if they tackle it. Oh, well, I'm talking to this group and not this group. And I have to tell you that wholeheartedly, the amass is I'm talking to everybody. This issue of ticho and sheitel, this is our minhag, this is your minhag. I don't buy that. I'm sorry, I don't buy that. It's one thing when you're starting out and but once you know better, you have to do better. And I don't remember there ever in any. And I'm kind of like a little, nerd when it comes to learning Torah, because especially when I don't have a Yetzirah to do it. So I love learning. I can't get enough of it. But I got to tell you that I've not come across yet where there was a separate set of rules for one group or one tribe. That's not to say that we don't have our own minhags, but this, like we learned, is an erroneous minhag. And that's it. That is my truth. That's my amass. That this mitzvah is not a mitzvah just for Sephardim. It's not something to attack Ashkenazim. This and vice versa. This is something that affects all the women of Am Yisrael, all the women of Am Yisrael. And tzniut is something that it's not. Maybe I'll do it. Blah blah blah. There are serious consequences and repercussions for not upholding tzniut. But I think for those who are struggling, to get that support that you need, I'm getting ready to tell you from the book, that they're citing what a great incentive you have to continue on, even if it seems like there is none. And it says that contemplating the awesome reward for going against the tide, it says the Hazon Ish encourages us to overcome peer pressure, and he gives hizuk to those who remain steadfast in their commitment. Such a person will merit a great zechusim, happiness in this world and an olam haba, and he will not stumble. It is brought down that if a person elevates in a mitzvah that others are not keeping properly, the schar is multiplied, and he earns the reward of all those who are not yet careful to perform this mitzvah properly. It doesn't matter if you are the one person in your town, you will get the reward of everyone in that town as if they were all doing it. If you think as one person that you cannot make a change, then you have not understood the whole story of Judaism from its inception. You have not understood the story of the Jewish nation with its God. Avraham Avinu was one person. One person. You think one person can't make a change? Wake up, Habibi. You've been sold a bag of goods from the Yetzirah, and tell him you're not buying today. You're not buying this. You can make a difference, and Hashem will help, and he loves an underdog. And so it says a woman who upgraded her level of covering the hair was told by her Rav Gantz of Eretz Israel that this served as a great zechus for Klal Yisrael. And it's true, because without tznuis being in place, all these things, although they are all noble and honorable, and all these mitzvot that we're doing and all the Torah that we're learning, all noble and honorable, and the world is standing on them, but know that without tznuis, the vessel to contain all the goodness that those actions bring, It's like a hole in the vessel. It's literally like you are killing yourself at the gym working out all the time, but the minute you leave, you're going to have a burger and fries and a large milkshake. That's literally what we're doing. We're like shadow boxing. We're fighting with the air. Like, and it really does wear you out. So I would say, why fight harder? Fight smarter, right? People just have to start really understanding. They have to educate themselves about really the ramifications that are going on. And I would appeal to Hashem to please, I beg for his extreme mercy in this situation, and to give amazing koyach and strength, and that all those rabbanim that have been screaming about this issue, that they should start to see light, and they should start to see, signs of life bursting forth from the ground from all the seeds that they've planted. It has been a rough journey for anyone who has tried to tackle on this this topic, and I really pray that Hashem would let them see those things, those seeds sprouting finally to give life, and I pray that it will usher in the light of Mashiach. But that's it for today, and I hope we'll all be together again soon. B'ezrat Hashem.